Yeah, well, so we're live now, Ryan. Hello, everyone. Sorry that we're a little bit late. Old Ryan didn't know that we were recording basically because he didn't read, so we had to wake him up and get him up because this is the important thing, the most important thing. So we're sorry for the 8 minutes delay. Um, what are you gonna do basically? But yeah, what have you guys been up to recently? Anything exciting going on with your fish or that?
Fish or that?
Yeah, either or, I suppose.
Why have you got
I want to know all about your rat.
why have you got two lines going through your screen?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's from the light. I don't know how. I was trying to get rid of it before, but see, like if I do it
Did you,
like that, it goes away. But
did
don't
you
know.
try turning the light off?
Well, then it will be dark.
That's your problem.
That's really weird. Anyway,
But all our lovely listeners want to see me.
Do they though?
There we go. We'll do it like that.
the coolest thing that I've done is been stripped like a whole bunch of trophies to Boise, which was cool.
So you're starting to get a little farm of them going.
Well, unfortunately, the last batch of fry that I got just died one by one. So,
Oh, lame. Do you know why?
No idea. So it's like
Just one of those
trophies.
things.
Can't breed them, then they start breeding, and then can't raise a fry. So, cool.
So it just causing trouble, basically.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a real cool fish.
They are cool fish. Well, I guess it's cool. It's actually cool to have a challenge rather than just add water and the babies just grow up. But
Because you're just so good at it. What a humble guy.
but Africans generally are relatively easy,
Yeah. Oh, no, sounds good.
compared to other shit. So yeah.
Nothing else though. That's your only thing of note recently.
Oh, I've just been sorting.
As you do.
Nothing Yeah.
Oh man, you are very tired, aren't you?
Yeah.
Have you thought about drinking coffee? Coffee fixes everything.
No.
Why not?
Not a vibe.
Fuck that. No, I don't like coffee. Coffee's dumb.
Fair enough. Can't argue with that.
I can. Coffee's not done. Coffee is amazing.
How about you, Cam? What have you had going on?
I've been making babies.
I mean,
Fish babies.
Fish tanks.
Fish babies, not human babies.
Lots of babies.
What was that?
Lots and lots of babies.
Yeah.
What sort of things have been breeding for you?
I've had the pygmy corridors spawn and they're all growing nicely, which is cool.
Oh, nice. They're cool little fish.
They are very cool. I've had my golden eye nanacaras have their first spawn yesterday, which I was over the moon about. So they've got fry at the moment. Mum is defending them quite hard.
It's always a good sign.
Yeah, I found a Julie corridor fry tucked into the tank, which I thought was quite cool as well.
Like just one?
Just one, which at least proves to me there's a male and a female that are of viable ability, which is neat.
Yeah, man. Could be worse. It's better than zero. So
That's cool. They survived, eh?
Yeah. So your last lot didn't survive.
They're the ones that keep going fungused on you, didn't they? Is that right?
Yeah. Actually, you are right. Yeah. So I was happy with that.
Surprise, Ryan pays attention.
Yeah, I know, right? And Triliniatis, Tom. And I've also had my dwarf neon spawn and have fry.
Are you calling them the wrong name? Well, they're the ones that are false Julies and then real Julies or some shit. Is that what they're going about?
Yeah, that
sounds confusing.
Yeah, dwarf neons have got fry, which I was excited about because all the eggs continue to fungus on me, and I thought I might not have had viable groupings, but I do, and I was equally excited about my group of threadfin rainbows had spawned as well, and they're from wild caught descendants, so I'm happy with that too.
Nice.
So are the actual threadfin rainbows wild caught? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, they were listed as wild caught, so
yeah. For what that's worth, it's sometimes hard to know and trust, but all you can go on is the information you're given, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, man. But no, it sounds like you've got a whole bunch of stuff going at the moment, which is good. Everything's moving.
I'm happy. Happy.
Oh, yeah, that's good. What would you say would be like your favorite thing that you've bred recently in your, move to breeding a lot of your own stuff?
The favourite thing that I've bred recently. Oh, and I got shitloads.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, and I've got a whole heap of Shelly fry coming through as well.
Oh, nice. That's the Gold Ocelota say.
Yeah. It's probably about 15 or so in the tank, which I think is quite cool.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome.
That's mean.
They're cool fish. I'm struggling to breed them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can get some lessons, can't you, Ryan?
Yeah.
I just add water. Does that help?
It's a good first step.
Useful. I could always breed 15, but I'm trying to figure out how to breed 150 to 300. That's the next distinction that I wanted to try and make with them.
Yeah.
It's easy to breed a half a dozen or a dozen, but it's not. I found it very hard to try and breed, enough to actually sell them in number.
Yeah. So far, my observation has been, if you take the fry out early enough, the parents respawn again. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they'll spawn quickly.
If you leave the fry in there with them, they don't seem too interested to spawn anytime soon. Equally makes it quite hard to remove the fry because they just bury themselves into a shell, and then what do you do?
They're tiny, and you can take the shell out, but then the parent's usually in the shell with them. So
Exactly.
how do you separate the fry, the parents, and the shell?
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's a bit
You see online and stuff, a lot of people use like a little PVC elbow as a shell, like just like a shell-sized one, I guess.
Yeah.
And then obviously with that, it's a lot easier to kind of shake them out because it's not like they can't jam themselves in quite as tight. So then you just like shake them out and then they fall.
and they usually put a cap on them too, right? And then just put it in a bucket, pull the cap off, everything falls out, and then
you can just sort it out from there.
I was wondering if the key to mass producing them would be lots of different colonies of them. That might be the only real major way forward. Like we were talking about yesterday, like do I keep multiple pairs of XX fish for whatever reason? It might be the way of just stacks up of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tanks of a pair in each of them, and then producing numbers that way, as opposed to producing massive numbers out of one aquarium.
Yeah, I think they probably do them in elbows or something artificial, like what Cam says, and then probably every couple of days they probably pull every single one out of the tank, and if there's eggs in there, they put it in a separate tank and raise them artificially. I'd say that'd be what they do, I reckon.
Why don't you just do that then, Ryan? Seems like you know what to do.
I'm just trying to grow up enough fish to make it worthwhile.
Makes sense. Got to start somewhere. Yeah. But no, going back to my my previous question, Cam, what is your favorite thing that you've bred, so far in your breeding journey?
It's not like breeding with your sister or close blood relative.
I was really excited about the Adolphoi that spawned, and I think I was excited about that because just random fry turned up in the tank, and I didn't even notice they'd been spawning or anything like that. So I think that was kind of cool.
Yep. No, that's a good choice. They're cool. They're like, I'm not the biggest Cora guy, but they're very cool. Yeah. They're right up there for Cories, not going to lie.
I'm enjoying watching the parental behavior of the GoldenEye Nano Carrot at the moment as well. I think that's kind of cool as well. So
shepherding around the fry and that.
Yeah, just really protecting them. Like you can see she's on full alert. Like nothing's coming near me. I'm defending my little tiny spot full of fry, which is really cool to watch.
Oh, nice.
I had to Google the Adolphoi Cory just to make sure it was the one I thought it was, and they are pretty cool.
They are. They've got a little bit of colour in them, which is quite nice.
With the orange and the black line on them.
Yeah. Makes it a wee bonus that I bought them as pandas. for a lot cheaper than what they're worth. So that was a real cool bonus for me.
Was that from one of the importers or?
No, it was from a breeder. I didn't realize that they were. Then I've got Panda Sweat as good as gold. Chuck them in, they're quite small. And they started growing out and they started developing their colours. Like, hold on, wait a minute, these aren't pandas. And so
Something suspicious is going on, yeah.
Yeah, next time I saw him, I said, hey, do you want to double check the ID of what the fish you've got? I think you don't have pandas. Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I think there might be a dolphin. He's like, okay. And came back about 3 days later. Like, yep, you're right. They're a dolphin. Sweet as good as gold. At least we're on the same page now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I still buy them at the same price.
He's still charging me the same price.
Hey, that's the main thing.
I think he might have had them, well, he obviously had them sold to him as pandas at panda price, so he's happy to sell them at that price. So, yeah.
And obviously, they would have, the first giveaway would have been they would have got big, right?
Would have got big.
Stay quite small.
Our first giveaway was colour that came through them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, well, that's a good choice. I like the way you think. And then, well, I guess it's my turn now. I haven't had too much exciting stuff going on, really. See, I never really have anything to share that much. What is the most exciting thing?
Is that because you've been on holiday for the last 4
New
weeks?
Year, you've just
exactly.
Just got back at the shop, so must be something.
Yeah, exactly.
Start stocking up the tanks and get things moving again, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's been a while since I've really had anything of note going on with any of the fish, because everything's kind of been in a little bit of a holding pattern, really. I got yesterday one of my plant growers dropped off some plants, and because he'd built them up over the course of like a month, because obviously been closed and he'd been away and everything, and they are just like humongous. Like, I got some polysperma that was like probably like a good, 2 or 3 foot long, like big massive bunches. So that was pretty cool. I don't actually know what I'm gonna do with them just yet. Like, I'm gonna sell them, but it's too much to fit in the plant tank. So that's gonna be funny. And then there's some other random plants as well in there, like rotundifolia, macandra, couple other bits and pieces, like smaller bits. So yeah, that's probably the most exciting fish related thing that's happened to me recently. Can't go wrong, basically.
Nice.
Look at you turning into a plant guy. I'm proud
Bro,
of you.
I don't dislike plants. It's just I don't massively vibe with all like the real fancy ones. But like, chuck a bunch of plants in a tank and I'll be happy. Can't go wrong.
Look out,
It
Ryan.
always
Cam's coming for your title of Master Plant Grower.
You can have it.
Oh, he's giving it away that easy.
yeah, does not care.
Don't want it. Don't care.
Ryan can just specialize on Java Moss expert or something.
Oh, bloody grumpy uncle in the corner there.
Who's that? Oh, Ryan. Nice. Oh, well, we'll move on to the listener mail segment. So,
hey, random question.
That comes after listener mail.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Okay. At least
So,
someone knows what's going on.
This is one from Helen. It is. She suggested it might be a idea for a topic in of itself. I'm not 100% sure, so I thought I'd raise it with you guys and we can see what we think. But basically, she was saying,
what Brixton?
I have no idea.
What's he saying?
I have no idea. But basically, Helen was saying, so she's got this canister filter, one of those Aqua One, what do they call them? Aqueous filters. Just one of those. It's like a very basic kind of canister filter. And she was saying that she was having a lot of trouble with it, always like blowing out air, like bubbles, all the time, just like bubbles getting shot out the end of it. And obviously, that's going to be quite annoying because it could be, for example, one of the seals is not working, letting in air. It's making a lot of noise, all this kind of thing. Just in general, something you probably want to not have happen, really.
It's really noisy as well, eh? Like you sit around, starts going and blowing out crap. You're like, what's that doing?
Yeah, it's just generally not a good situation, really. Um, oh, excuse me. So she was like trying all this different stuff to try and fix it, like your normal kind of troubleshooting steps when you're having a filter with this kind of situation. But she found the culprit. It turned out that she had this big ear stone that had just got real close to the inlet pipe, and then obviously as it's blowing out the bubbles, it's just getting sucked up. So like no matter what you do to the filter, it'll just be sucking up more and more air, and like getting worse and worse and worse over time. So that is good in one sense, in that it's an easy fix. You just move the ear stone a little bit further away, problem solved. But what she was saying was she was like getting so worried it was like a major, major problem, something big going on. But in the end, it turned out to be like a simple little fix, just like a minor tweak. So, what she was suggesting for an episode topic would be things that are really like seeming really bad or really scary or major, and it turns out to just be a little thing. So, I don't know if you guys had any stories about incidences like this where you think something major's going on and then turns out it's not that big of a deal. But I'll throw that out to you guys. Do you have anything to add to that?
As
Cam?
in, has that happened before?
As in, have you had anything that where it's like it seems like it's going to be a big major problem, turns out it's just like a
I've
minor
done
fix, like
I've
moving
done
the ear stone,
I've done exactly the same thing.
shooting
Exactly the
a
same
putting
thing
the ear
with
stone right next to the
oh
filter.
yeah, and being like, oh my god, my filter's stuffed. It was on my trophiest tank in the kitchen. Yeah, it was. I was just like, what the hell's going on here? You know,
Yep.
it's blowing
Yeah.
air out all the time randomly, and Kim was like, oh, your fish tank's making funny noises, and as they do. And
Yep.
it's just like, oh man, what's going on? And it's a Eheim two, one of those Eheim Pros, the old, slightly older models. It's like, damn, it's a
Yep.
good filter and it's stuffed, and but I've still got to get some seals for actually because it keeps leaking. But anyway, um, it's only when I hit a power. It's only when there's a power cut. It's one of those ones that
Oh.
only leaks when there's a power cut, and it
Yeah.
just
Oh,
pours water out as soon as it's not working.
I've
Yeah.
had that before.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
Yep.
But are you asking if you had any other things like that? There's just billions
Yeah.
of things like that, and there's billions. The biggest one that I've seen and had before is those all-in-one tanks with a filter on the top.
Oh, like the
And
trickle
if
filters.
yeah, and when you stuff with them or they get too clogged up or you put too much media in, sometimes that filter can fill up too much and leak a little bit down the back of the
Oh,
tank.
yeah.
And then you get a
Yeah.
little bit of water around the tank and you think the tank leak is leaking and it's stuffed and you try and you go to get rid of it and you realise, or another one's condensation or like an air stone's blowing bubbles onto a bit of glass and dripping down the back of the tank somewhere or something and you think it's leaking. Those sorts of things have got me a lot.
Yeah.
Leaks
Yeah. I've
leaks that
definitely
weren't
been there.
leaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling that my current mystery leaking tank might be bubbles popping, water dripping onto the airline and dripping out. I was looking at it yesterday. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. That doesn't quite look like a leaking tank. It almost looks like it's just catching and dropping its way down. So I might have discovered that within, hopefully, I moved the airline a little bit yesterday, so that might have hopefully stopped it.
Yep. Yeah. That's only one way to figure it out, I guess. I'm fingers crossed. The only thing
That's
that
Jimmy just asked us. He's listening from the US and asked where we're from.
we are from the
We're all
lovely
from
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand. Two of us are from civilization, and one of us comes from a hillbilly
It's a
town.
stretch. I'm
And
the only one that comes from civilization. They're both from
you can decide which one.
they're both from the middle of nowhere. But yeah, I was gonna say The only thing, well, the main thing I can think of that's in a similar vein that happened to me was actually when I was plumbing up my sump on my Malawi tank. And so like I did all the plumbing in there and then it wouldn't drain as fast as the pump was going, if that makes sense. So like the drain couldn't keep up with the pump. And I was like getting real worried. I was like, oh no, have I done my maths wrong? Is the do I need a bigger hole? Like what's going on? And it took me like ages to figure it out. Like genuinely like I was probably working on it for like 2 hours trying to solve this problem. And then I don't know why, but eventually I decided to like look in the actual like hole essentially. And what I found was just somehow I had got this massive like gloop of silicon in there, and it was like probably like the size of like I don't know, a couple $2 coins, and it was just like acting as this big flow restrictor basically. So that was why the thing couldn't flow fast enough because like half of the blade hole was blocked. So I just got in there with a knife and cut it off and then turned it back on, and then everything worked perfectly, exactly how it was supposed to. But I thought it was going to be like a major, like I'd have to, redo all the plumbing and figure out why it's all going wrong. But yeah, it was just my messy silicon job had put a big old flow restrictor in there. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's for you, Helen. That's probably I'm going to say my most similar story, but I have done um, the old air stone next to the filter inlet and plenty of other little silly things like that. You know, which is good, I guess. I mean, it's one of those ones that's if you've got a problem, having it be a very minor one is always desirable, I suppose.
I
So
agree.
yeah,
It's better.
yeah. But I mean, you guys let us know if there's any if you'd like to hear more of our stupid stories on this topic. Let us know, and we can maybe it could be a full episode one day. We'll have a look. But yeah, so did you have anything else you wanted to raise on that one, Cam or Ryan?
No.
No. So, well, we'll just before we get into the main topic for this episode, we'll
We'll
do
do a
our
random
our
question.
yeah our quick fire question. And so for this one, what would you guys say would be your number one favorite fizzy drink?
Define
I
fizzy
am.
drink. Define fizzy drink.
Oh
You
yeah, they
say
probably haven't made it all the way down there.
non-alcoholic or
Yes,
alcoholic?
non-alcoholic.
Energy
This is a
drink or no
kid-friendly
energy
show.
drink? Energy
No
drink or
energy
no?
drink.
Energy drinks a fizzy drink, is it?
Yeah, it
No
is.
energy drinks. I disagree.
Does sparkling
I
water count as fizzy drink?
I mean, it does, but that's the most boring answer you could possibly give.
I love me a good Coke. So there you go. I'm a Coke fiend.
All right. What about you, Cam? Are you going with your fizzy water?
In a previous life, it would have been either Lift or Sparkling Duet. But in the current life, it would have to be Coke Zero, unfortunately, or Coke No Sugar.
I'd agree. That's actually what I was going to say as well. So, what do they say? Great minds think alike.
Well, Coke No Sugar or Lift or Sparkling
Yeah.
Duet.
The thingamajig, the no sugar one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, that was fun.
It's not terrible. It's not terrible at all.
Yep. So for today's main episode topic, as you guys can probably tell from the title, we're going to be talking about local fish clubs or local fish associations and all that kind of thing. So full disclosure, I'm not the biggest expert in this sort of field. In this area, fish clubs only been around for a very small amount of time. Well, the only ones I've been involved with. So yeah, but I don't know if maybe Cam, you want to start and just for the people who aren't quite sure, what is it? What are we talking about here? What kind of things can we expect from these organizations?
Whole bunch of people sitting around one area talking about fish.
Sick. Too easy.
I thought so.
Done?
Episode done. We're going home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Sold. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's yeah, I mean the basic idea is, people get together physically in person and discuss fish tanks, exchange bits and pieces of, say, for example, plants or whatever. There's oftentimes people have specific programs for like growing plants or breeding or all that kind of thing. You do often see sort of, people talking about fish clubs being one of the most important organizations for the hobby as a whole, in terms of bringing people together and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, how about you, Ryan? I know you've had a lot more sort of experience with fish clubs because you're so old, right? So what is your kind of take on them? What do you like? If I haven't heard of it before, what's a bit of a rundown about how they operate and what goes on there?
You just imagine all the coolest people you can possibly think about getting together and hanging out and talking about fish. Yeah, it's real cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my thing.
exactly.
Yeah. No, it's just it's interesting because I have been doing fish clubs. I've been going to fish clubs and stuff and been in fish clubs for probably the last 25 years or something. And I started going when I was like a teenager and that. But recently, I'd always thought they were always quite kind of boring and struggling a little bit. But recently, the Auckland club's been stood up with a guy who used to be in America, and he was part of one of the Ohio clubs over there, which is probably one of the biggest clubs in the world type thing. And he managed to stand it up in a really good way, a really exciting way, a really fun way, and trying to involve people. Like they do big auctions and stuff. He gets a lot of stuff donated. People bring their own stuff along. And the auctions and stuff are real fun. He gets speakers in and has a really good venue and just had a lot of stuff sorted. So he's managed to actually get some people to go along regularly and actually get a pretty good club going so far. So that's been really cool. That's the Auckland club. They even flew Braxton up to talk about some dumb plant thing or something once, which unfortunately I missed. But yeah.
From Dunedin, which is, for our American listeners, kind of far away, basically. So yeah,
Kind of far away for New Zealand, but not far away for America.
But
yeah,
not,
exactly.
wouldn't even be one side of Texas.
Hey, you
It's
can
like-
probably you can drive there in a day, so it's not far away from America. But
exactly. But
it'll
yeah,
be a big day and a 3-hour ferry ride, but you get there in a day.
yeah, exactly. It's possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that kind of, I guess, hints at one of the things I was kind of wanting to bring up. So you said I can't remember exactly how you phrased it, Ryan, but I think you were kind of hinting that clubs aren't as much of a thing as perhaps they once were. Maybe struggling a little bit more for various reasons. I think one of the most important reasons is, back in the dark days, before the internet or in the infancy of the internet, it was kind of one of the only real ways to meet other fish people and like get information and solve problems and all that. But obviously now you can just Google it or YouTube it, and a lot of the times something is going to come up or someone is going to come up who can help. And I think that's one of the things that's why a lot of clubs seem to be kind of falling by the wayside. You know, obviously, I can only really speak to what's in New Zealand, but
Mm.
from what I've seen in online from overseas, a lot of clubs around the world seem to be having a similar sort of situation going on with like declining membership and all that kind of thing. But what's your guys' take on that? Like, how's the club scene down in Nelson Camp, for example?
I'm sure they go clubbing all the time.
Couldn't tell you. I'm not
God,
involved.
you are so old, Ryan. So old. We're just going to ignore that. So yes, what were you saying,
I'm
Cam?
sure
Before Ryan rudely interrupted.
Cam's probably an avid clubber. Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not involved in it.
Oh, well,
Uh,
sick.
Well, that's
Good
your
chat.
fault. You should be involved in your local club. Don't say shit like that, Tom. It's not funny.
it's not funny to laugh.
No comment.
I can't be involved because of the night that they run it is just not usable for me. So that's the only reason. To be entirely fair and true,
Fair enough.
even if it was a different night, I wouldn't attend it because I don't like the whole bunch of old pale, stale white males that turn up.
Like a bunch of carbon copies of Ryan.
No, they're significantly worse.
Jesus.
If you don't have a
Didn't know that was
discus,
possible.
your aquarium's not good enough, and if you don't have plants in it, your tank's not good enough. So I couldn't be fucked with that kind of shit. So I thought, no, I'm
So
out.
it's like the opposite of Ryan.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, that sucks.
Well,
But
And that is the problem. That is the problem that fish clubs can become. It's just an old boys club of people sitting around, and it's hard to actually add any. When they're not adding any value, I guess that's where the Auckland club's adding quite a bit of value to people's lives. Like they did a really cool Christmas function. I wasn't going to go because I thought it would be a lame fish club function, but then Nelson messaged me and said, "Bro, they've got lots of beers and heaps of good food. You should come." And I was like, "Yep, sweet, I'm there." And we had a couple of beers, and at one stage I was sitting there with a beer in my hand, and like Led Zeppelin was playing on a portable speaker, and I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool. Like it's not really dumb." So it was fun.
In a previous life, when I was involved in the Nelson Club, I was president at the time. We managed to get 15 or so extra people join that year. Really diverse bunch of cichlid keepers, pleco keepers. Like it was becoming a really diverse club. And then constantly, all the time, over and over again, where are the plants? Why is this tank got nothing but wood in it? Why is it a different color? Why is it dirty? Blah, blah. It wasn't questioning it. It was criticizing in a really nasty, vindictive way. And I thought, this isn't me. I try and work
so it just wasn't a vibe.
Yeah, I work on everyone should be. This hobby shouldn't be limited to anybody for any reason whatsoever. Like, there's no reason why nobody should not be able to enjoy it. And if it's in your home, you enjoy your aquarium the way that you want to enjoy it. So that just wasn't my thing. So I was
and also, you can there is a way to respectfully disagree with someone, right? Like there's ways that I think are wrong and right in keeping aquariums, but people do it, and their fish don't die, at least not initially. And so you've got to go, well, I wouldn't do it that way for these reasons, but if it's working for you, give it a crack. You know what I mean?
But this is just a bunch of old dudes saying you're not conforming to what we believe in, so you're wrong. So
see, you guys say that, but then you always shit on me for my ornaments. So
I don't shit on your ornaments. I love your ornaments. I think
you got to walk the walk.
Ornaments should be in all tanks, and they're cool.
And I've said multiple times, ornaments aren't for me. But if it's in your house and you're looking at it, you enjoy it, so be it. But I'm not selling them.
I went to I did a service job like at a school the other day in a classroom, and they had a little when I say little, it was actually pretty big. I have no idea where they got it, but like a SpongeBob house that was probably like a good 25 centimeters tall, and apparently the kids loved it. I thought it was cool, so yeah.
That's cool.
That story doesn't really have any purpose except it's a fun time. So what more could you want?
You just wanted to name.
I do need to find a big Megatron for Kim's school tank. I think that'd be mean.
I'm sure there's one big. You should get
Google
like.
it. I'll Google it.
I'm sure
I'll get
they've
one
got a
now.
Lego one. That would be cool if you made a big
Everything
Lego
is
one.
awesome. Sorry.
Jesus,
They're
please
going to
never
find
do
the
that
Kraken.
again. Yeah, but no, I think that is one of the I guess dangers. But what I thought we could also do would be so like obviously with the I guess disclaimer that it is going to vary a lot between like different places. Like obviously check with your local area club about the specifics. But I thought we could maybe discuss a couple of things that is maybe the most common things that goes on. I think Ryan touched on a few of them before, like having auctions and raffles and guest speakers and all this kind of thing. But I thought maybe we could give a bit more of a broader overview for what someone could expect if they're, looking at it. So I know Ryan before mentioned guest speakers, and he's actually been he's the only one, I think, who's been a guest speaker at
Yeah, they
a
have been
meeting.
known.
So
They have been known to have famous podcasters speak at these meetings too. So that's something you could look forward to.
yeah, man. So
And that is how I started my slide as well. That I was a famous podcaster.
yeah, man, it was lit. So yeah, what do you? I don't know. Maybe if you could go a little bit more in depth about what kind of things did you talk
Nigel's
about
actually
and
brought
all
up a
that?
good point we'll talk about is tank crawls. Tank crawls used to be real cool. I haven't done one of them for so long. But you used to just go around everyone's different houses and see all their tanks, and sometimes have a bit of feed on the way, so everyone put a bit of food on or something, or drinks or something, and you go around and just look at all the tanks on the way. I think that would also be really fun if you did it like a pub crawl style and had some beers at each house as well. That'd be quite fun as well. And had a
Such a
bus drive
degenerate,
around.
mate.
It could be awesome.
But yeah, I've never done
Tank-
one of those
tank
to be
crawls.
honest. But it does sound like fun.
Tank crawls were absolutely the highlight of every year
Oh, yeah,
in
it's
being
awesome.
involved in the club. 100%.
Yeah.
And everyone
And
would get the
Auckland-
tank nice and clean for the event, and it was awesome.
Auckland will be tricky to do it, and I reckon because of the size of it. But I reckon
It would be like over the course of a month.
But if you got together and you actually organised it properly, and you had even if you had a bus, it would be quite cool.
Oh, get onto Frank and get it organised.
I've got to say that from an outsider's looking in perspective, it looks like Frank's doing some really good stuff for the Auckland.
Yeah,
Doing
he is.
the Auckland club.
He is doing a really good job, and he's brought a bit of energy to it. Like I tried to do it, but I had no idea what I was doing, and tried to do it in the format of how I'd been to fish clubs for the last 25 years, and it was just dumb. It just fell over. There was just it was adding value. There was no value added, and we were trying to do it at people's houses and stuff, and it just didn't work. So it wasn't very organised, and he's brought the knowledge of what worked in Ohio and stuff to get people engaged and keep people coming, and built on that. I do think there's a lot they're going to have to improve, because at the moment they're just doing a PowerPoint presentation every sort of meeting, and it's kind of turning into a little bit of death by PowerPoint. So they're going to have to get some stuff that's a little bit, and that's what big organisations do a lot, is lots of PowerPoints and stuff. But I think they need to get something that gets people up, because if everyone's just going there having a chat and sitting down for an hour listening to someone talk about something on a PowerPoint, is a little bit boring, a little bit less engaging. So, yeah. But I've spoken to Frank about that, and he's got some ideas about what he's going to do anyway. He's aware of it, and they'll build on it. The auctions and stuff.
Man.
The auctions
Everything can always be
really
improved.
The auctions are really fun. The raffles are really fun. They raffle off a bunch of stuff for raffle tickets that's donated. They auction stuff, and stuff goes ridiculously cheap.
Yeah, man. Everything's like I have there's a kid who always comes to the shop, and he bought a Delhaize Baisha, like I think it was maybe like 10 centimeters. I think he bought it for like $12 or something like that. Like
Cheap.
like hilariously cheap. There's all these rare plants and stuff that I've like never heard of. Never heard of these plants, and they'll sell for like
What, Ambulia?
$15. No, it's like this. It's called like I don't know how to know. It's called like
Balastoneria.
snowflake
Have you heard
plant.
of that stuff, Balastoneria?
I've heard of that one. But there's this one they call like snowflake plant or something. It's like this
What,
water lily thing.
Anubius?
No, like it's just called like snowflake or water snowflake or something. It's like a
There's some
lily
cool.
that like floats around. It drops and then
Yeah,
grows
that's what
up
I'm
and
thinking.
then drops and stuff. It's weird.
No, it goes.
But
Oh, right. The banana plant that's not a banana plant.
Yeah, that's the one. That's real
I
cool.
think it's a bit
They're real
different. But
cool.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
That's
But
it.
it's like
he calls them banana plant. He calls them banana plant, and they
They
grow
came
in
in
the
as
substrate.
banana plants, but they're not banana plants. The real banana
No.
plant looks like it's got bananas, tubulars growing into it. They're very
Yeah.
similar plant, but these ones never got that, and so they've been spread out as banana plant. But I believe they've now been ID'd slightly differently to whatever they are now.
Yeah, they're a cool
Well, they're
plant though
cool.
to see them. So you just see lots of different stuff in that, and I think I sold. When I did my presentation, I stripped some fish at the fish club meeting so people could see that, and then sold the Demisonian yellow babies at the auction. And a guy picked up a colony of Dems and yellows for $26. Admittedly, they were small, but
Still.
retail on them in 6 months is probably like $500 or something. Like so.
Yeah,
They did
so
all
I mean, if nothing else, if you want some cheap stuff or some less common stuff, you know where to go, basically.
I haven't taken a lot of Africans there because I'm worried about them going cheap to the wrong homes. But I did know there were at least 3 or 4 people interested in Dems and yellows at the meeting when I sold them, so I knew they had at least some people that could house them properly.
Do you think that obviously the FNZAS has been very significant in the fish keeping hobby in New Zealand for so long? Do you think that in recent times they've hindered the growth of clubs, or the new clubs that are coming through with no involvement in the FNZAS and moving the hobby forward or whatnot?
I'm not going to say, I don't think hindered is the right word, but I think it's a little bit sort of
Well, they're not adding any value. That's the
old
problem.
and tired and like irrelevant almost.
They're not adding any value. So the Auckland
Exactly.
club, I don't think is joining the FNZAS because they see no value in it. Why would they
Exactly.
join it? There's no
And 'cause
value
you have
in being
to-
associated.
I'm pretty sure you have to pay as well.
You pay $10 per member, $10 per member per year to join it, but they're not giving. They don't give. There's no reason to join it. When I was a part of it, you joined it so that you could be part of the breeding club, breeding program for the country, and register your breedings on this register and get pins, and then go to the conference every year and all that sort of stuff.
And got a cool magazine as well.
Yeah,
or a couple.
Yeah.
But
those magazines were a bit of a point of contention because one person just did the entire lot of it as well, and it was hard to put together and stuff. It's all voluntary stuff, so it is a battle.
They do the digital one, but digital magazines aren't quite the same. The production of it, I think, is still really, really good. Like, I thoroughly enjoy reading it, but it's not quite the same as physically reading a magazine.
Isn't Darren doing them now? Is that right?
Yeah,
Darren Stevens.
Yeah.
And the FNZAS forums, FNZAS forums is brilliant. Was brilliant. It was awesome. Instead of Facebook, that's where we all hung out and talk crap about fish, and But again, no one really uses forums now because Facebook.
It's funny. Sometimes if I Google like something random or obscure, the forums will come up, and then I'll see like Ryan talking about something like 12 years ago, some random obscure fish or some random thing, and I'm like, that's funny. He's old, and then I move on with my life. So yeah,
you just validate yourself, eh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Hey, there's been a couple of times where you've helped me with a certain problem after 12 years, so can't complain about that. But yeah, I think that is definitely a good point. Because you've also got, it's not massively close to you, but you've got, I think there's a new Christchurch club, isn't there, going on at the moment, which I don't think is part of the FNZAS either, is it?
No. So yeah, the South Island club, which I think is pretty ridiculous because the South Island's fairly large, but that's okay.
It's all empty though.
Yeah.
There's like 3 places where people live.
For me to attend a monthly meeting, for example, it's a 5.5 hour drive each way.
It's a bit of a wagon ride, eh, mate? A bit of a wagon ride. Got to sort of fill the horses up. Get on that wagon.
Yeah. So I
Comedy
got
guy.
a straw hanging out my mouth. So it's quite a significant drive, and Christchurch is right in the middle of the South Island, obviously. So it's geographically, but it's still quite a distance to drive for anyone that's not around there.
But that would be a legitimate business expense to go to a fish club meeting for networking.
It would be a legitimate business expense. I don't think it'd be a legitimate excuse to leave my family for 2 days, according to my wife.
Just take them with you.
It's a business
It's
trip.
not a business expense.
Business
Mm.
trip.
Yeah, it's fine.
Even if they held one share in the company, it would be a business expense, just as a hypothetical situation.
But it would not be considered as staff well-being if I brought my kids with me for a 6-hour drive each way.
No.
Travel with kids before, man, 23 minutes is enough.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I know the Tasman Club also isn't involved in FNZAS anymore. They removed themselves from there a couple of years back.
It's a shame because the FNZAS was really good, and I believe there still is some really good people behind it. But
I agree.
It's that balance between how do you add that value and the volunteers as well. And if you've ever been involved in a club or an organization, and you know how thankless it is and how hard it is to deal with people. So we're definitely not shitting on the FNZAS at all. That's not what I'm saying, but it is hard to add that value back, and it is purely voluntary. Like people just have to get out there and they're grinding and they're doing a lot of work for no, sometimes not even any thanks, and then someone will probably complain about it.
There's absolutely no question. Someone will complain about it. There's no. Someone will.
It is thankless, and sometimes you're never going to please everyone, no matter what you do. So you've just got to, It's a hard hustle, and unfortunately, the FNZAS at the moment hasn't managed to stay relevant in today's society, which is a shame because there's a lot of people giving a lot to it. I believe some people have even bequested quite a substantial amount of money to the FNZAS to keep it running when they've passed away and stuff.
It'd be really interesting if, for some reason, say every 1 in 2, 1 in 3 fish keepers around the country all decided to join the FNZAS, and then with that amount of numbers, use that power to lobby, because essentially that's what that group could do if done properly, used to lobby MPI for one reason or another. Everyone always complains about how we can't get new fish in and blah, 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 blah. But individually we can't do anything, but collectively we probably can. Collectively would be under the FNZAS banner, but nobody's interested in doing that. They just want to complain about it.
Yeah, and that would be the value in the FNZAS, is if everyone joined it, it would actually have a voice for fish keepers in New Zealand.
Yeah, and that is cool. That's absolutely where I see the value of it, but whether or not it's used that way or whether or not there's a reason to use it that way, that's the question. But
well, people are fundamentally very selfish, which makes sense, right? And if they did, why would I join the FNZAS if it's not going to provide me any value? You know, even though it's only $10 a year, and they probably waste that several times a day on energy drinks or pies and V's or whatever, But it's just giving that $10 for absolutely nothing is the problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is.
No, neither do I.
I see someone like Frank who's managed to get the Auckland Club going. I was like, man, I wonder if he could get the FNZAS going with the same sort of ideas. I don't know. There's stalwarts there like Mark Patterson that is still involved in it and trying to get it going and stuff. Good guys, good people. Yeah. But what do they need to do? What's the answer? I don't know.
Time will tell, I suppose.
And you're right. It's the same with fish clubs. Where's the value in it? What value are you going to give me? What am I paying $20 a year for? Which is nothing. Let's be real. But what am I going to get in return from that? Like I said, if you're sitting around in a meeting once a month looking at a PowerPoint, well, that's not really worth my $20 of my time. Where am I going to get something valuable from it?
You all know what it's like, though, if someone's putting on like a barbecue on the weekend or something, and you've worked all week, or it's on one evening, you're like, oh man, should I go? Should I go? Sometimes you just think of every excuse under the sun to actually
My,
go,
my
and that's
socks are
people.
wet. I can't leave home. I'm waiting
That's all
for the
people.
dryer. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're dealing with. So you're up against that. What is more? Often for me, I'd still do it, even though the fish club meetings are cool and stuff, because it's a 45-minute drive there and back. But it would just be Cam or someone else messaging me saying, "Oh, we're going tonight," and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, we'll go." You know what I mean? To go see people that I get on with. Or people that buy fish off me. People buy fish off me, stumble upon it, then message me, "Oh, you're going to fish club meeting tonight?" So I'm like, "Yeah, cool, I better go."
I'm getting my fish hit right now. I don't need to go anywhere. Oh yeah, wow, fish. Oh yeah, talking to people. Yeah, fish. Oh, I've got one I need. I can go to sleep now.
Yeah, but it is nice to go out and actually do something.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
There's definitely value if you get on with the people that are involved in the club. Talking to people in person about aquariums and fish is really nice. And seeing, for me, the tank crawl was a massive pull every year because you got to see different people's tanks, different fish, different ways of doing things, and learn and pick up little bits and pieces here and there all the time. But that's one event over a 12-month period, which isn't a lot of draw in that time.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen the other thing that I don't know why that made me think of is you see a lot of times I know I think it's Waikato Club does it every year, and the old Auckland Fish Keepers Association did it, a few years back. Is like the tour of touring like the goldfish farms and that, to kind of see a bit more of the behind the scenes on the commercial side of things, which I think that's also another really cool sort of aspect, because it's something you don't really get access to in any other way. Obviously there's only so many goldfish farms around and everything, which is a bit more difficult, but it is another one of those ones where it's like a unique, what they call like a unique selling point of join the club and we can go do this tour, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it, kind of thing. So yeah.
And I met a guy. I've heard about him a lot, but he lives up north somewhere, and he's got a whole bunch of ponds, and he breeds koi. Not koi carp. He breeds grass carp. Breeds grass carp, and he's got the license to breed rudd as well, I think, or something in New Zealand.
Do you want to know something really funny?
For grass control and all that sort of stuff.
Do you want to know something really funny? Remember about 6 weeks ago when I said I just had a couple of commercial breeders come to the shop and I spoke to them for about 2 hours? He was one of them. He was one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh. He was down here dropping off some fish to the whitebait farm, for a lack of a better term, down here that breeds a whole bunch of stuff for whiteback caviar. Oh, and they came in and had a chat for a couple of hours. So the whole time they were really interesting because one of the guys that was from the whiteboat farm basically had his hands in his pockets the whole time and was staying quite a significant distance away from any of the fish tanks. And I thought it was kind of weird, but as the conversation went on, he was like, "Oh, I don't want to get any chance of any sort of contamination from your water into our farms and blah, blah, blah." So even when he was out of his facility, he was being very, very cautious because he was going back there of what he might potentially bring back to his facility, which blew my mind, but it just shows how serious they were.
If it's his livelihood, like if touching that water could lose your entire income, if you've got to treat it a little bit more seriously,
Yeah, he was talking massive dollar amounts too, and but yeah, I thought that was really interesting, just the way that he was behaving and acting and talking during the whole process. So yeah.
Yeah, man, sounds it.
Yeah.
But no, that's quite a cool. That would be another cool thing that a fish club could go. I don't know. Maybe a fish club could go take a tour of. So anyone down.
I want to go out there and have a look at it. I want to go have a look at it as well. It sounds cool.
Tasman visit.
Sounds like he's got all sorts of stuff. Apparently, he's just talking of like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of aquariums that he's got. And it's a side hustle. It's a side hustle. He doesn't do enough out of it to make a living out of it. He does it in his own time in the weekends and after hours.
Just for a bit of a shameless plug, if you search the Fish Room's YouTube channel, you see a tour of me of their facility about 5 years ago.
Oh, did you go out there?
Nice.
Yeah, just if you want to for a shameless plug.
I didn't
Yeah.
realise you'd been up there. There you go.
Yeah, I'm sure
That's
it kind of changed too much.
And Nigel brings up a good point. The clubs used to do a national aquarium show where they actually, and the FNZAS probably still has a container somewhere full of all the gears to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. I've done a couple of them.
Yeah.
They were
I
fun.
think
So what would be involved in that?
Waikato took over that a couple of years ago, didn't they? Well, before COVID, they were doing the Aquarium Expo.
Yeah, so it would be like a full-on hire a venue, hire like a function centre, that sort of thing, set up all the aquariums, advertise it like an orchid show, like a cat show, like whatever, and actually showcase to the country that the fish, you know.
Mm.
And there would actually be classes, and you could enter fish and all that sort of stuff as well. But I think they were struggling to find judges.
Like competitions and that, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I have heard.
Another shameless plug. There's a video of the most recent Waikato Expo on the Fish Room's YouTube channel too. Not sponsored.
Yeah, man.
There you go.
I have. So yeah, it didn't. I don't think anything happened post COVID, but there was definitely, there's always people talking about wanting to get it started up again, but it is one of those ones where it'll probably be quite a lot of work for probably not that much, money or anything out of it. But yeah, it is. I know there's internationally quite some big ones. Some quite big ones.
Financially, there might not be much return, but like community building, be significant.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The one that I went to, there was so many people walking around enjoying it, and again, this is probably several years ago now, but I met a couple of people that had like shopped with the fish room before when I was just walking around doing videos and stuff like that. So like community building, it was ridiculously cool, and potential hobby building as well. Like get a whole bunch of the same thing in one go, make a big song and deal about it. Get people that have never been even interested in aquariums coming and having a look and cutting their teeth on it. It's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, exactly. And kids come through, have a look at the tanks and stuff, and just get people to have a look at stuff. So I think that's a good idea for the hobby.
Yeah, might not be you, but then again, it might be the thing that sparks the interest in keeping fish for somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Randomly seeing an expo at a hall somewhere, stop just to have a look, and this is cool, this isn't cool. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the more people that get exposed is just the more chances, for someone to get hooked, no matter what. But yeah, no, that I've obviously never been to a expo or anything, but it sounds like some cool stuff. And there's some pretty big ones in overseas, like you've got the big like catfish conventions and all that kind of thing. Some pretty major events, which is always cool. So yeah. Did you guys?
The Tasman Club, after their tank crawl, used to do they'd vote on like the best tank, best blah 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 blah, and then because they do that in November, and then at the end of the year they'd have the end of the year barbecue and give out trophies for like the most voted on favorite aquarium, favorite fish, blah blah blah, which was kind of cool. And then they had their own little in-house breeding award as well. So there was like 4 or 5 trophies that were handed out every year to various things at the end of year barbecue, which fostered a little bit of interest and stuff from everybody as well.
Competition and get people moving. Yeah.
But again, there's 1 or 2 things going on for an entire year, which doesn't keep a lot of intent in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's about the value. It's about the value, isn't it? They've got to keep moving. They've got to keep evolving, or they'll die. So
Exactly. I mean, that's one that you kind of touched on it there. We haven't really talked about is the whole like breeding competitions and like horticultural competitions and all that kind of thing. Usually it would be like, you have to spawn such and such a fish, X amount of times, and then like donate those fish to the club to be auctioned, and then you get points for that to go onto your tally as trying to be the best breeder in the club, which is everyone loves competition. And then the same goes for like if you wanted to do it with like growing plants, growing so much plant within the year and getting the points for it and all this kind of thing. All these little things like that is a lot of fun for a lot of people. Fostering that competition in that.
you also touched on a really good thing. Like, fish clubs are a really good place to swap plants and fish and stuff with people. You know, doing where the events being held at XX person's house, they've got, I don't know, they've bred 1,000 neon tetras, for example, and you know, I've got 1,000 black neon tetras. Do you want to swap 20 each, sort of thing? And it's a good way of swapping and getting new fish and new plant and stuff from people for no money, just for the enjoyment of what you're doing.
Exactly. And I mean, a lot of the times, like with the other hobbyists, that's a really good way of finding things like you wouldn't always find, like maybe less common things or more obscure things, or finding, you know, if you need some bigger fish, for example, like there's a bit more kind of obscure varieties or types of stuff around. So like if you're ever after, like, you're trying to find some super rare fish or plant that you really want to get, asking around at your local club is always a great option to try and, you know, you'll have a much better chance of finding someone with that particular thing available to, you know, get it into your hands, basically.
And sometimes people who go to clubs don't go on Facebook, don't sell stuff on
100%.
Trade Me or whatever, that sort of stuff. They can be older. They can also just not care
not
about
like it.
Facebook or Trade Me, you know. So that they might have all sorts of stuff, all sorts of stuff and things that you never heard of, you didn't even know about. So just worth talking to people. There's all sort. I still get amazed sometimes when I hear a lot of the stories are unverified of what's around and what isn't around, but sometimes it comes true, and it's just quite cool just to see things floating around.
Yeah,
Meet people.
exactly. I mean, there's lots of options, at least. Like the more, you know, networking with like more and more fish keepers is never a bad thing. Like at the very least, you'll get different perspectives and information in there. But you know, you might get, you know, make new friends or find some stuff that you wouldn't otherwise get your hands on, and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, if you're listening, and if you've got a local club, I'd definitely recommend joining. And you know, if you don't have a local club, see about starting one up, I guess.
Definitely.
So yeah, did you guys have anything else you wanted to discuss on the topic? Hello?
Silence. The sound of silence.
Yep. Oh, so I'm going to take that as a no.
No, I have nothing more to add.
Cool. Do you have anything more you wanted to add, Kim?
Up the wires, and I do all the rules.
Sick.
Is it your year again, is it?
It is. It's our year, baby. It's coming home.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to laugh very hard when it all goes pear-shaped.
Classic Warriors supporter. Delusional.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go lie back down in bed. Fuck. Anyway.
Yeah, some of us got to get to work.
I've got a lot of work I've got to get done today too, so I'm not going to lie down in bed. Just joking. Thanks for listening. I noticed that we didn't have Helen in the chat today, so that's a bit sad. Maybe too early for Helen.
Or she's busy. Some people got you know, stuff to do, man.
She's never too busy to get on our podcast. That's not cool.
Send a complaint.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and talk to you all next time.
So, see you later. Thank you very much.
All right. See ya.
Hold on. I forgot I was the one ending the stream. I was waiting for it.